welcome to Revelator Alpha. It's a radio podcast thing, don't you know? And it's all about what's happened this last weekend, what's gone on in the biker world, what's gone on in the world, and we're going to discuss it. We're going to get into lots of things. It's an open Q&A. You can ask any questions you like. I'm only exclusively transmitting, want of a better word, on YouTube, not on those Twitches tonight. Oh no, it's just on YouTube. So I've got it all up and running. I've got a couple of guys in on the chat already. Hello, Morris. Hello, Mr. Zombie 230. Hello from Texas. Hello there as well. So we're going to be digging into a few things, but first of all, I'd just like to cover a couple of things. There is a new look to the website and also the channels, the social media channels. You can support on PayPal and Patreon. Items and content is going up there as well. There's a bit on TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and also Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. All the shorts are going up there as well, and all the blog posts are going on those feeds as well. So go to the website, revelatoralpha.com. There's lots of information there. I'm also trying to get a live feed of either the live shows, but also the videos on the sidebar there as well. So lots of information coming out, and the website is growing, by the day, I suppose. I've got the chat open up here as well, so you can see it there. But I'm actually got it on another screen here, so I won't show this for you. I'll just show this, or the main picture, which is this one. Right, so there's lots to discuss. Please let us know your thoughts on what you've been up to this weekend, where you've been at, where you've been riding. I'm going to touch on a couple of tech issues. Some questions have come in, so thanks very much for those. And it's an open discussion, really, on anything you like. It doesn't have to be motorcycle related. It can be anything that's up for debate. But first of all, let's just get into some of the biking news, shall we? Okay. So, first of all, I just want to say, bring out this bit of news here from who was it? Suzuki in India. Would you believe they just rolled out their 7 millionth vehicle from their plant out there? Amazing. The Suzuki Sports Adventure Tourer, the V-Strom SX, became the 7 millionth celebratory unit. Amazing. It's amazing, isn't it? So well done, Suzuki. That's all I can say. 7 million units, 7 million motorcycles have come out of that motorcycle plant alone in India. Would you believe? I mean, India is a massive motorcycle market. It is the largest motorcycle market anyway. But it just goes to show, away from, if we're talking numbers, if we're talking just pure numbers, then, those markets are selling big numbers for those motorcycle manufacturers. The likes of India, the likes of Suzuki, Honda, of course, Mega, Yamaha, Kawasaki to a lesser degree. But certainly those three are doing great stuff. Suzuki, if you followed my channel, have had a little bit of a hiccup in Pakistan. They had to close their plant down, and that's due to supply chain issues and things like that. Sorry, just a quick swig of the black tar here. No advertising here, I assure you. But obviously you got all the Indian brands as well, selling great numbers in that part of the world. So all I say is just a really good show, a really good shout out from why isn't that working? There we go. A really good show from India, from Suzuki in India. Well done. Okay, so the next story here is from, the racing. What's been going on in the racing? Looks like the BMW have been doing rather well in the AMA, the Moto America, the American Superbike Championship. And this last weekend, they did pretty well. The BMW taking a 1-2, I believe. And the AMA Superbike win with Gagne and Bobier. Yeah, so, Gagne and Bobier 1-2, I believe. Something like that. Is that right? Cameron Bobier picked up where he left off 3 years ago on Saturday at Michelin Raceway in Atlanta, with a 5-time Moto America Superbike champion winning the first race of his comeback season in a straight fight with 2-time defending champion Jake Gagne. So BMW, those BMW S1000RRs are just amazing. This is the BMW M 1000R, which is, I believe, is just a brand new version as well. So yeah, they as what they say, they are kicking ass, as they say out there. So well done to BMW for the start of the AMA Superbike season. We've got some other news coming out from the King of the Baggers, another round here. But this is a bit of a story about the Indian angle. But actually, if we look at the other story, it's Wyman. The Screaming Eagles, Kyle Wyman was unstoppable in the first of the 2 Mission King of the Baggers races at Atlanta. So he did a great job there. So again, it's neck and neck between Indian and Harley Davidson on there as well. So there you go, a bit of racing action there for the weekend. I mean, were you at any of the races this weekend, wherever you are? It's just about to kick off here in the UK and around Europe. So I definitely have noticed a lot more events coming on this last weekend, and I'm going to be talking about a few of those events as well. The last couple of weekends, I suppose, from the Easter period, we've had a bit of a setback here in the weather here in the UK. So it's the last couple of days, it's got colder again, started to rain again. It hasn't actually been, nice weather. Let's put it that way. Let me just get rid of some of these things at the bottom of the screen here. Here's an interesting story. I thought it was worth interesting and bringing to you. This is from BusinessWire.com. It's saying Polaris Inc.'s Indian motorcycle dealers ranked highest in 2023 study measuring response to website customers. Okay, so the powersport industry performance has improved substantially over the past 5 years, but there is now a large gap in customer treatment between top-ranked brands and others. Okay, so in other words, customer service, responding to customer inquiries on the website. I mean, this is all on their website, businesswire.com. Go and read the story as well. I'm not going to go through the whole story as well because it is a bit dry. But suffice to say, it's an interesting story to come out, because sometimes you hear negative stories about Indian dealerships and things like that, how they treat their customers. But then again, you get the flip side of that. You get ultra positive stories as well. Now, I dare say you get ultra positive stories and negative stories with every motorcycle brand and every motorcycle manufacturer. But it does seem to be that whatever they're doing is caught the attention of this Business Wire here. And, with the study, I mean, who would have thought they'd actually make a study of this? But there we go. So, yeah, look, they've obviously done very, very well. Let's just have a look at, have they bought in any other? So they measure, as an example of improved performance, 17 of the 25 brands measured achieved ILE scores over 40 this year. Let's have a look. Brands with the greatest improvement since last year's study were Kubota, Arctic Cat, Kawasaki and Yamaha. Only 4 brands failed to improve from 2022 to 2023. BMW, Harley Davidson, Triumph and Moto Guzzi. Interesting. There we go. So this is all to do with. This is all to do with basically the response of to customer services, customer inquiries, and how people are being dealt with, and all this kind of stuff. And we've obviously got a ranking for it, and it's but there we go. So that's well, whatever it is, Indian Motorcycles or Polaris at the helm. They must be doing something right in terms of the customer satisfaction, I suppose. Okay, next story here. Quick, again, I'm sort of skipping through these stories as I normally do. But here, this is, if you remember a few weeks ago, I talked about Indian motorcycle manufacturer Royal Enfield now. And, I was saying to you, watch out, pay close attention to them because they are bringing out more motorcycles out this year. More motorcycle brands, but they're also bringing out an electric motorcycle as well. So this story here, this has got all the story here. So, if you're interested, again, I'm not going to go through the whole story here for you, but the slashgear.com is everything we know about the upcoming electric Royal Enfield motorcycle. Now, this is sort of generic information, but it's nicely packaged here. It's quite good. But this story, but it's got a little quote here. Royal Enfield CEO Govinda Jaran told the Economic Times, "We are progressing on our EV journey and have several ideas that are already in advanced stages of testing. Our approach towards our electro mobility journey is very different, and we have spent considerable time to understand the market and trends." In a similar statement, the managing director of Royal Enfield's parent company, Eicher Motors, they are in partnership with somebody else as well, told the media that it would be at least 2025 until we see an all-electric product hit dealership showrooms or dealer showrooms. But in the meantime, we'll have to be content with a glimpse of quality function development concept bike called the Electric 01. It's an interesting thing here. This is the Royal Enfield plots into the world of EVs, early stages of development seen in its Electric 01 concept motorcycle, which is this one here. You may have seen pictures of this before. But let's say, Royal Enfield are one of those brands. Just watch out for them. They are coming on strong. They've got more motorcycles coming out. But again, India, I don't know if you're aware of this, and I did highlight this a few weeks ago, that India, with the Indian government, with their motorcycle market, and I believe it's their automotive market, they have a parallel what's the word I'm looking for? A parallel goal for the future of mobility, and that is they have to have all manufacturers have to be producing electric vehicles, but they also have to be producing vehicles that can be run on alternative fuels. Whether it's biofuels or synthetic fuels, that kind of thing. So they're kind of hitting it head on and giving it to the manufacturer and saying, no, you've got to produce vehicles. And guess what? They are already producing vehicles. They're already doing it. And I showcased a few of or highlighted a few of the motorcycles a couple of months ago as well, when the Indian motorcycle was on there. Early stages, yes. But again, they're going to be producing not only bikes for the future in terms of alternative fuels, but also electric bikes as well. And, it's kind of no surprise, really, because India is the largest motorcycle manufacturer, is the largest motorcycle market. They're selling millions of motorcycles every year. Granted, for the most part, they've been small motorcycle CCs. Into the mid-range now, more and more, but so it's a natural, logical step. There's actually huge infrastructure development, electrification infrastructure in India, so you can charge electric cars and electric motorcycles. Now, India is a huge country, so they are focusing on the big metropolitan areas, the big cities, and the big cities first of all, that are going to be India is split up into big provinces and big areas. And did you know? A bit of trivia here? Did you know that there are 398 official languages in India? 398. Now, 11 of those are said to have been, I think they're dormant or dead languages, but 387 are active. 387. So there's vast differences all over India, vast, regions. They're all governed in different ways, different languages, so on and so forth. And they're virtually their own little countries. However, in terms of the big motorcycle manufacturers and automotive manufacturers, they will set up in the big industries first of all, or the big economic centres first of all, the likes of Mumbai, right? They were set up there first of all with their electrification, and for people who were going to the electric motorcycle, electric scooter market, they will enable them to charge quicker at different places. They've also embarked on this system along with the Japanese motorcycle manufacturers and a lot of the manufacturers from that part of the world. And they've joined a global coalition to produce electric scooters with interchangeable batteries, and they've kind of settled on a standardized battery format. So they're going to have electric battery stations where you just ride in with your scooter or your motorcycle, pull out the battery, just pay your $5 or whatever it is, get a new battery and put it back in. So you don't really own the I suppose you own the original battery, but you don't own the battery anymore. You're just swapping it in. That's your fuel source, if you like, that you're just topping up, and it's going to be instant. It's an instant thing. So this has been happening the last couple of years or so, and there's a greater movement towards that, and it's going to be expanded into places like India, obviously China, obviously Japan, the Far Eastern, all the Far Eastern countries as well. They're looking at this as the solution for electrification, as opposed to having the big push for big electric charging stations. And so actually for most motorcycles, most of the customers will be having small bikes, so they're going to have interchangeable batteries, and the standardized format is going to allow for a much greater use of that. But I say, watch out for Royal Enfield here, not only in terms of their new models that are coming out this year, but also the electric bike. Possibly, I would say, they said 2025 there, Ica. I would say certainly start looking at news from it from next year onwards. That would seem to be quite right. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's more news about it this year. Okay, let's quickly dig into some of these messages here as well. When did the Suzuki plant open? I actually don't know. That's a good question, actually. I don't know. I think it's been going on for quite a number of years. So there we go. Okay, right. Let's get on to the next story here as well. Oops, wrong one. Didn't mean to do that. Oh, now what was it? I've lost the story, I'm afraid. It was honestly a really good story as well. Hold on. Here we go. This is the one. Right. So I'll bring that up now afterwards. That will be the topic of discussion. Okay, let me just bring this one up here. KTM and Husqvarna Gas are all coming out with different programs right now in order to, like here in the UK and Europe, they're cutting the taxes on the bikes so that you can get into the bikes. They're also launching all their new bikes as well. So if your off-road riding is your thing, then go check out, all I'm going to say is go check out KTM, Gas and Husqvarna, where you can get possibly a cheaper deal on your bike as well, and also or the manufacturer absorbing that cost and not putting it onto you, so you get a cheaper bike basically. But they're also launching their brand new bikes as well. This is where I take the likes of these companies, and the companies like Suzuki. I think Yamaha have been doing it. KTM, Husqvarna, GasGas, which are all part of the same company, by the way. They've been making in these harder times, let's say, they've been giving motorcycle riders or prospective motorcycle riders more and more incentives to buy and greater assistance to buy as well. When you've got the other big motorcycle manufacturers who are not giving these incentives, who are just passing on these big costs onto the rider, and then I'm thinking, well, hold on a minute. Other motorcycle manufacturers can see there's a problem here, that most people may be might be outpriced of buying new motorcycles. We're talking new motorcycles here because that's what keeps the whole thing going, right? And they're thinking, well, actually, we've got to find a way of getting new riders in, or new owners to buy new motorcycles, even with these high prices. So we got to give incentives, let's say, like the 7-year warranties. Make the whole package, the 7-year warranties, the service plans, discounted prices, or discounted servicing costs, or discounted financing deals from the manufacturer themselves as well. So whilst these are income generation for the manufacturers, they are trying to, or some of them, the likes of Suzuki especially, KTM, Husqvarna, GasGas, and there are a couple of others which have escaped me, they have acknowledged that there is a bit of an issue, and they need to try and help riders. And it's a business tactic, of course it is, but it's a good business tactic, right? They're actually seeing that actually people can't afford this, then guess what? We need to try and help them a little bit. And it could be the best thing for them to do, but there we go. Okay, so that's from KTM GasGas here. Here's the other one. This is from Financial Express from India. A date has been set for Bajaj and Triumph Scrambler to be Scrambler and the Roadster to be launched. It's June 27th. The first set of motorcycles under the Bajaj Triumph partnership will make their global debut on the June 27th in London. While one of them will be the Scrambler, the other is likely to be the Roadster. Interestingly, I haven't heard anything from the UK press here. It's purely from the Indian press. Now, bear in mind, let's just, maybe we just have to trust what these guys are saying, but we'll see. And this is fresh from today. This story. So, Bajaj Autos, one of India's largest two-wheel motorcycle manufacturers, joined hands with the iconic British two-wheeler Triumph back in 2017. Both companies have been working together on a new range of mid-capacity motorcycles for years, and now we finally have their launch timeline. The first set of motorcycles under the Bajaj Triumph partnership will make their global debut in June 27th, London. Okay, why in London? Pune-based homegrown automaker Bajaj announced the partnership with UK in August 2016. Yeah, so Bajaj, as I said the other day, they recently took over Triumph's presence in India. So it's almost like Triumph are operating under license in India. And they joined forces basically to use the infrastructure that's already there. And that kind of makes sense. And they want to open up another 20 Triumph's presence to over 120 cities in India in the next 2 years from the current 15 dealerships. They want to go up to, a minimum 120 dealerships, which is pretty impressive. And it just keeps on saying June 27th in London, but it doesn't actually say. Yeah, they are likely to be 300 to 400 cc engines with high-tech features. I mean, whatever that means. Yeah, weird because I'm just trying to wrap my brains now as to what the show would be on June the 27th in the UK, unless it's just a general launch. And why it's an interesting one. I'm not 100% sure why they've done this. And again, it's an interesting thing for me that the UK press and Triumph themselves, as far as I'm aware, now this could be so hot off the press that they haven't even released an official press release of it yet, or they're not going to make it officially known yet. That they haven't done it. Similar to what I was saying the other day with Harley Davidson and the Chinese X350 and the X500. Why haven't they officially, as a company, come out and said, "Hey, look, this is what we're doing"? So I wonder again why Triumph haven't done this, to Western markets. And is this going to be that they're not going to sell these bikes in the Western markets? So if they're not going to sell them in the Western markets, why launch it in London in the first place? I just find that a little bit odd. So, yeah, look, this is a story to watch. So watch out for this story and see what you think of that one. But Triumph, they are going to be coming out with some new bikes. Where these bikes will be sold, will they be purely for the Indian market or will they be sold elsewhere? I mean, that's an interesting point. Okay. Here's another story here. Where is this from? Visor Down here in the UK. KTM, their 890 SMT super motard launch. If you remember a few weeks ago, I talked about some spy photos that have been released as well. Well, this is it in the flesh. The new 890 SMT Supermoto Tourer has been launched by KTM, reviving the SMT after almost a decade of the last model. And here it is there. I mean, it looks pretty groovy, actually, I've got to say. I'm personally not a big fan of supermotards. Personally, that kind of thing. I'm kind of, I'm not. I'm just there. I'm kind of meh, as they say. They're all right, but I'm not just great, that great. But anyway, 2023 KTM 890 SMT utilizes the same LC8 889cc parallel twin engine as that found in the KTM 890 Duke and the KTM 890 Adventure, for example. In SMT form, the LC8 produces its peak power at 105 horsepower, 8,000 RPM, while 100 Newton meters of torque available at 6,500 RPM. 15.8 litre fuel tank, 3 litre reserve tank. Fuel consumption 4.6 litres per 100 kilometres. Total 18.8 litres will be drained in 343.5 kilometers or 213 miles. That's pretty good, actually. So as I say, it's certainly enough to satisfy the touring. As for the Supermoto piece, that's fulfilled by 17-inch wheels front and rear, WP Apex suspension, front compression and rebound adjustable, and rear it's got a preload and rebound adjustable, providing 180 millimeters of wheel travel, dual 320 brake discs at the front and a 260 mil disc at the back. Akrapovic stainless steel silencer exhaust with Michelin powered GP tires. I mean, look, yeah, nice. Additionally, there are a number of electronic aids aimed at boosting the Supermoto side of the bike, such as lean, sensitive traction control, and an ABS system combining both cornering ABS and Supermoto ABS. Supermoto ABS, would you believe? There are also 4 riding modes: range, street, sport are all standard. There is an optional track setting allowing for 10 level adjustability of the traction control. I'm wondering whether this bike would KTM would put this into some kind of race series, in the next year or so, whether it will go into like the Hooligan series into the United States. Yeah. Saddleback. I haven't had a look at that. Let me have a look at this. This is the radiator you're looking at. Let's have a Oh dear! Oh crikey! Yeah, I see what you're saying. That is the biggest radiator made outside of a Mack truck. Although it is high up. It is high up, not like the Harley Davidson Pan America, which is low down. It is high up at least. But I take your point. I take your point. Yeah, it is. I think there is a bigger. I don't know whether it's a style thing or whether it's a necessity that they have these really big grills just to have that extra. They're putting so much performance through a limited block that they're putting. They're having to cool it with so much more. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is for it, but there we go. So go. There are optional track setting allowing for 10 level adjustability of the traction control. Other optional features include heated grips, motor slip regulation MSR to the software package, quick shifter, cruise control, and also optional ready to go with simple activation process KTM. So KTM have this weird thing as well with some of their software. So any of you guys who ride KTMs and you're watching this later, the latest KTMs, the last year or two, they've got this weird thing that you when you buy a brand new KTM, I can't remember all the details, I'm just doing this off the top of my head now, but when you buy a brand new KTM, you're signed into the KTM options, as it were, and you can take. And some of these options are software options. I'm not talking about physical options. I'm talking about software options. That then becomes a subscription-based option. So if you don't pay, I think the first year or the first 2 years, you get that with the sale of the motorcycle, right? But then after, you don't get it unless you pay for it. So and some of these are performance related, right? And I'm just wondering if that applies to this bike as well. I would not be surprised. Beezer, hello, thank you for joining. So anyway, so that's the KTM 890 SMT, the Super Motard, or the SMT 890 SMT. Looks. Yeah, I'm possibly the wrong person to ask, right, about this bike, because I'm not the greatest fan of the Super Motard look. I just think, and again, this is just me, so I want you all to pay attention, right? Or pay attention. Right? No, I just want you to bear that in mind, right? I just think on Super Motard bikes, let me know if you agree, the wheels just look, I'm not saying that they are, but they look too small for the bike. It looks out of place. And this is any Super Motard bike, any Super Motard, any Hyper Motard, whatever you want to call it. I just think the wheels, 17-inch wheels, when you got higher suspension travel, longer suspension travel, whilst it might handle great and all that sort of stuff, and you've got the road sense with that kind of upright riding position and softer suspension, so you can really be a real hooligan on the road and all that sort of stuff. I get it, I get that, right? But I just think from an aesthetics point of view, if you look at the profile here, look at that where is it? There there we got to get my angles right, of that. It just looks weird to me. It just looks weird. And they all did. Even that bike that I built a while ago, and you know the 125, right? And I've just sold it. Okay, even with that, I thought, and when I rode it, it was fine. When I was riding it, it was fine. But even looking at it, I thought it's, you know, I built it, and I, you know, I thought, oh, don't really like it. I don't really like it. But there we go. So, you know, it's because of the wheels. There's too much of a gap. There's too much of a gap between the wheels and the suspension travel. It for me, I know it's a style and people like it, and handling wise and all that sort of is great. Don't get me wrong, and it's just a personal thing. I think they look a bit goofy, but hey, but there we go. That's just me. Right. Okay. So next story here. If you're into your electric. Somebody was asking me a while ago about investing in motorcycle manufacturers, right, and stuff like this. And I was like, don't know, you know, that's up to you. But I thought it was an interesting story here from Motorcycle News. This is about Lightning Motorcycle from California, aren't they? Lightning Motors. They've got their 200 mile an hour LS218, and they've got they're offering customers or investors the opportunity to buy shares in the company. So this is like a almost like a startup investment, really. Now we know electric is of the future. We know that it's going to go on and on and on. I would say this is a high risk investment, but it really depends how much it is. But say, you know, you can go directly to their website. So founded in 2006 by a financial specialist, Richard Hatfield in California. The first Lightning motorcycle was a converted Yamaha R1 using then latest lithium battery technology. Then 3 years later, and the first ground up Lightning set the land speed record for its class at the Bonneville Salt Flats. The company's bikes have gone on to win the first North American Zero Emissions Championship. The Pikes Peak International Hill Climb became the first electric motorcycle to exceed 200 miles an hour. There are quite a few electric motorcycles now that are hitting that 200 mile an hour figure as well. The company recently paired with battery specialist Innovate, and remember I brought out this story a few while ago, and they now claim charge times from 20 to 90% in 12 minutes and produce 3 models, the LS218, the Strike R and the Strike C. So they are a company on the up, right? They are the company that are just expanding, but it's high tech. It's high tech stuff, right? And you can go direct to the website right now, Lightning Shares website, and you can buy shares in the website. How successful they're going to be? It appears to me that they are a boutique brand, a very specific brand, high performance brand, and obviously there's going to be a price associated with that. So, you know, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look at how much these sites are. I mean, I'd say I've never used this as well. Oh, like, so you can invest. Sorry, by the way, you've got to make your investment by April the 28th. So the share price is, it says here, share price is $10.56 a share, and the total raised so far is 45,000. The valuation of the company is saying 75 million. I don't know how they're doing this. Let's have a look what the information says. That's weird. There's no information there. But your minimum investment is $105.60, which is what, 10 shares? So you've got to buy a minimum of 10 shares. I think that works out to be. So yeah, you can invest if you want there. And it's got all the spec there as well. I mean, I don't know. I don't know these things. I mean, I haven't actually looked into this, so I'm just bringing you the story. I don't know if this is. They're not floating it. I think these are shares with the company. So these are going to be like private shares or whatever. So anyway, listen. If you're interested in investing in a motorcycle manufacturer from the ground up, let's say, these, if the company is successful, you would imagine these are going to go up and up. If, let's say, in the future they float this motorcycle company Lightning on the New York Stock Exchange, you're going to see a big boost in that initial valuation of that share price, and then you wouldn't be surprised if they're doing lots of doing really well. Then you might get a healthy return on your dividends as well. So, I don't know what the deal is with that, but hey, there we go. Right, let's change a bit of a tune here a little bit. This is from Garmin. Garmin has announced. Let me just get rid of this. Its newest sat nav for motorcycles, the Zumo XT2. This is from morebikes.co.uk. And it's the newest and most advanced purpose-built sat nav. I'm not going to go into the specs on this, but I suppose the question I would ask is, how many people are using sat navs like this? I featured one on the website, as on the channel on the website a couple of weeks ago. The Beeline, for me, it's like the Beeline is something really small, and or your phone, what a lot of people seem to be using. I think if you're going on extensive tours, having something like this is actually probably a better bet. That's being powered by the motorcycle as well. But obviously the functionality of these are really, really good. So we go. The senior product manager at Garmin said the Zumo XT2 is purpose-built for the motorbike rides and is designed to withstand all kinds of weather. IPX7, that's weather shielding standards, and rough terrain. The Zumo XT2 has undergone a tough vibration testing procedure to ensure the durability of its components on a bike. That makes it a Zumo XT2 the safest choice for motorcycle navigation compared to a smartphone, where high amplitude vibration in specific frequencies can degrade the smartphone's camera, especially on iPhones. But even with the anti-dampening vibration that you can get on quite a few mounts now. So I would say if you're going to do extensive riding, extensive touring on a motorcycle, then yes, you can use a phone, and by all means do that if you feel comfortable. But actually the safer option would be to store your phone in your pocket and use something like this. But anyway, I thought I'd bring that to you. That's their brand new one. This is not me doing a product reveal, or I'm not getting some kind of backhander. So this is from a website, morebikes.co.uk. Okay, here's another story here. I think I'll bring this story afterwards. This is from Visordown. 10 motorcycle flops that deserve a second chance. I thought I would just bring this out to you guys. Which motorcycles have you ever heard of? And you can list them in the chat or list them in the comments below afterwards. Which have been the biggest flops for you? Which have been those motorcycles that you think, oh, what a waste of time? And I can name so many. Well, I could think of so many, but off the top of my head, but it's interesting. Some of the ones that they've listed here in this article, I'm not sure that they probably would be a flop in terms of sales, but in terms of motorcycles, some of them, just really good. So I'll come into that in a minute. Okay. Let's have a look here. This is a story. Do you want to... Let me just make sure I've got the stories right up for you. What's this one? Okay, get rid of that. There we go. Right. Now, so what's... Apologies for that. I need a bit of the black tar to wet my whistle. So, what's been happening this last weekend? Big charity ride here in the UK. The last sort of couple of weeks, Easter, from Easter moving into this period now, there's going to be lots of charity rides, Easter egg runs, that kind of thing, things for for charities, supporting charities. It also coincides with spring, kicking off, better riding days, people getting out there, pride and joys, maybe for the one-off ride. But it's still, some days it's still really cold, especially if you're anything like me. If I have to leave home really early in the morning, let's say 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, it can be, not always, but it can be really, really cold. So we're still in that topsy-turvy weather right now here in the UK. But anyway, so there have been some motorcycle events going on. Starting off, there have been some motorcycle rides. So here is this one from Northamptonshire, and I was surprised at the number of bikes that actually went through. It's their April Fool's charity ride that was first set up in 2023 by Dave Barringer from Northants V-Twin motorbike shop in St James, and former Mayor Terry Wyatt. Terry sadly passed away in 2014. Spent the final days in a hospice. He helped raise so much money for the decade before. Oh, interesting. So it just says hundreds of bikers. There we go. So look, there's some cool pictures. I mean, I've heard about this. I keep on meaning to go on things like this as well. The 19th April Fool's charity ride took place on April 22nd. So this last Saturday. There we go. Lots of people wearing high vis, obviously marshalling the track, I assume. There we go. That's nice. Oh, it's always good when you get, and there seems to be a lot of Harleys here. I assume because it's organised by the V-Twin shop or whatever it is, V-Twin motorbike shop, that it would attract that. But I'm not sure if it would only attract Harleys or V-Twins or any kind of V-Twin. It's good that it's a V-Twin and not just a Harley. I think is good. But you would imagine that most are going to be Harley here. Yeah, it doesn't actually give a lot of information there. Oop, hello. There we go. But anyway, so that was the big one. Hundreds of bikers went out into Northamptonshire there. So that was another one. So here's another one here. And this one is from Shropshire. This is thousands of bikers take part in the Shropshire. I can't even talk tonight. Shropshire charity ride. And you can see the pictures there. This is for the in aid of an air ambulance in the area called Midlands Air Ambulance, but it's called Bike for Life, and it basically says 4,000 people took part in Bike for Life. Bit of a wet Sunday afternoon or weekend. The bikers set off from Mule Brace in Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury, depending on how you want to pronounce it. At about 11 a.m., their route took them along the A4, M54, A41 before finishing RF Cosford. Ex-Special Forces soldier Ollie Ollington was amongst the riders who took part in the event. The SAS Who Dares Win star was also joined by former motorcycle racers Carl Fogarty, he does that on a regular basis actually, and Steve Parrish. They are always up there. I think they may even live in that area, I'm not sure. It's 11th year of this event has taken place, with the festival also include live music displays and stalls. The route was closed to other traffic for a couple of hours while the convoy travelled to Cosford. So, interestingly, when this event was first getting started, how can I put this? They were just getting started, right? And because they allied themselves to the motorcycle to an air ambulance charity, lots of air ambulance charities in the UK, EMS helicopters for those of you not part of this country, they have motorcycle events and really heavily supported by the motorcycle community, which is great, right? but when they were starting this event, they contacted me as well, because I was doing this motorcycle safety program at the time, and a lot of my information was going out, and they wanted me to go there as part of their first event to put on a big stall. I couldn't do it because I was on duty, I was working, but they wanted me to send loads of stuff up there, so I sent loads of stuff up there. Whether it actually got there or not, I don't know. So it was, and then I never heard from them again, because it took off. I mean, but at the time they were obviously just started out. They were just trying to find out how they could arrange this, and they were trying to get in touch with so many different people, and fair play to them. They've kept it going, and they've got it bigger and bigger and bigger. But the only way to attract bigger names is just by getting bigger people, but by allying itself to a big charity that bikers naturally support, because they know that you could come off your accident and then an air ambulance could easily come to you and help save your life. Then there's that kind of kinship there. So it's a great recipe. I say lots of air ambulances around the country have done this and are doing this on a regular basis. So it's great. It's great that they've done that. But it's a great turnout. Thousands of riders turning out there, and yeah, of all shapes and sizes. On average, Bike for Life raises about £80,000, which is great each year for that Midlands Air Ambulance. It goes basically saying Air Ambulance rapidly reaches on average one motorcyclist a week, and the event is also aimed to promote bike safety as well. So that's where they were coming in on me as well, not only with my Air Ambulance collection, but also with the motorcycle safety thing as well. But that was many years ago. I stopped doing all that motorcycle safety stuff many years ago. That was from the bbc.co website as well. So there we go. So interesting. And look, and these kinds of motorcycle events, and they go on all over the world, of course. Not only in here in Europe, but all I'm saying is that at this time of year we kind of see a natural explosion of motorcycle events, purely because the weather improves and so on and so forth. Okay, let's have a look at what this one here. This is not really a story. I just want to kind of highlight something that maybe a lot of people don't know, and what triggered it was I was actually in a newsagent's shop today, and I picked up a very famous British custom motorcycle bike magazine, as it were. I'm not going to promote them because I don't need to, but essentially, if you know, you know. Anyway, so. And I always pick them up, and I buy them on a regular basis, and I used to have subscriptions for them as well. They're all good, but when I built bikes in the past, I always said about custom bikes, it was never American bikes. It was never Harley-Davidson's V-twins or anything like that. It was always British bikes or Japanese bikes, and I build bikes, and the custom bikes that I would look at were based off sort of Japanese bikes or British bikes, really, because American bikes just weren't around or plentiful back in the day when I was growing up. This is in my teens, right? So British custom bike building, yes, there is a lot of Harley Davidson, I suppose, but there's the bulk of it, I would say, and possibly, and it goes in phases, right? And sometimes it's all Harley V-twin, and then all of a sudden it comes back to lots of British and Japanese and old bikes and stuff like that. So here's a nice story here. This is from Silodome Gasoline Culture, but they've restored a 1950 Sunbeam S7 Deluxe. And you get lots of custom bike builders here in the UK and from Europe that they get their own country's old bikes, and they do really nice custom bike builds from them. This is just a resto job, not just, but it's obviously a great resto job. But I thought I'd bring this to you. I mean, how lovely is that? That's a Sunbeam, beautiful bike, absolutely beautiful. Let's say, so if you're, let's say, in other parts of the world, let's say United States or Canada, for example, obviously you're only heavily influenced by American brands, right? And that's perfectly fine. Obviously, where in here in UK, in Europe, our motorcycle experiences are much more diverse, and much less originally with American brands like Harley Davidsons and stuff, because they were just so expensive to come in, and they are still really expensive. But over the last sort of 20 odd years, 25 years, more and more have come in, and they've become more readily available, let's say, in the British motorcycle scene. So, you know, when you talk about custom motorcycle building, it's not, from my experience, it's not always that it's Harley Davidson. You know, there's a lot. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I would say if you go to custom bike shows, whether indoor events or outdoor events, there's going to be, I would say, an even spread of it, unless it is a V-twin show or a Harley Davidson show, right? But, you know, you would get an even mix of, well, I would still say you get a lot more non-American custom bikes than American bikes. But there we go. Anyway, listen, so that was that one. I just thought I'd bring it to you. I just thought it was a really nice bike to show you, and a great job that they've done there as well. Okay, so here's oh, there we go, wrong one. Here's a story that came across, and I literally just saw it today, and I thought, wow, what a story this is. This is coming from brand new story out of the Daily Star.co.uk. But this is a story about a retired, he says, I was undercover with a brutal Nazi biker gang, but dodged getting tattoos with a clever lie. And basically, a retired agent, Ken Croak, spent 2 years successfully infiltrating the Pagans Motorcycle Club. I've heard of them. I don't know too much about them, but I've heard of them. But had to come up with a clever way to avoid their hate symbols without blowing cover. I mean, basically, he worked for this guy. I mean, read the story if you want. dailystar.co.uk. He infiltrated them. He got in with them, became a full patched-up member, I believe. He was there for a couple of... the 57-year-old managed to win over the gang's Long Island, New York chapter, becoming a fully patched member. He spent 2 years undercover in a white supremacist gang. Wow. During which he witnessed violent crimes, secretly recorded meetings between gang members, and even spent several days behind bars on a gun arrest, according to his memoir, Riding with Evil. Interesting. This gang nomenclature, it's kind of really come up, and it's there's a divide, isn't there? There's a divide between those who say no, it's a motorcycle club when it's not gangs, and and there's the other side of it who say no, these are organised crime, these are gangs, they're acting in a very much gang-like way, and most of that gang terminology comes originally from law enforcement, especially from the United States. They're the ones who really start coining it. Then it gets adopted by press, multimedia, and then, you know, wider law enforcement agencies, police agencies from around the world use the same name as well. But there's always been this big thing, no, we're not gangs, we are motorcycle clubs. And, you know, I always say this, that, you know, within any group, you know, motorcycle club, a knitting circle, a, you know, stamp collecting circle, if the group is big enough, you're gonna get different kinds of people within it. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that, you know. So, you know, and that is the club's statement, really, or their premise is that, well, yes, we are a club, and it might be that certain members are doing illegal stuff, you know, but that's not the club. But obviously, in some cases, the police will say, no, actually, it is the whole club. The whole club are doing it. Anyway, so this guy, he's from the ATF. He got involved in with them. And it just goes to show that, I mean, what kind of a person goes in undercover, becomes a full member of this motorcycle club? And he's saying that they're all kind of amazing, really. And basically, it's an appearance on the Jordan Harbinger show. Croak revealed the pagans were serious when it comes to symbolism of their colours, the insignia and patches they wear. Well, that's all motorcycle clubs, right? What was it they said? Be quick. Sorry, he said. But he quickly learned that the white supremacy. Sorry, he quickly learned that white supremacy was a big part of pagans' beliefs. Writing in his book, they weren't burning crosses, but the racism many spewed was persistent, blatant, and strong. I would not be surprised, not necessarily because it's this motorcycle club, but because that's just the nature of things, I would imagine as well. During his time in the gang, he had to come up with clever ways to avoid having to wear their hate symbols. The reason why I latched onto this story was because of this, right? The next bit is quite interesting, right? He had to wear tattoos, right? Or they were going to make him wear tattoos because he'd been in the club for so many years. But the problem is he'd been fast-tracked and up because he'd done certain things, let's say, or he was perceived to have done certain things. So he's being fast-tracked. So he wasn't waiting the necessary time before getting certain insignia, before getting certain patches, before getting certain tattoos, right? So all of a sudden there's he was supposed to get a tattoo, and that wouldn't have gone down well at home, or it wouldn't have gone down well with his masters in the ATF or whatever. So basically, he had to have this tattoo on his neck, I think it was. And the only way he could get out of it, and this is from the head honcho in the club, he said, listen, I really shouldn't put this tattoo on me because, I've been fast-tracked. I'm using my words, not the words here, right? I've been fast-tracked in this process. Quite a few of the other members here are not too happy about it. Maybe we should just do the full process and wait until they're waiting. And they all agreed, said, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. And that's the only way you got out of putting their tattoos on. But, it just seems amazing that, hey, they're allowing people to get into, being able to get into this process, which is supposed to be really strict and all the background checks, but it just goes to show that, cops or whatever, law enforcement are getting in there. And what kind of people, you got to have nerves of steel to be able to get into places like that. I mean, how could they do it? I don't know, but there you go. That's just them for them. The interesting thing that he says that after he got them arrested or whatever and got them, he presented his evidence as well. Obviously, there's going to be threats against his life and also, death threats and all that sort of stuff. But he's like saying, well, look, I'm just living in sort of plain sight. You can never hide from these people. Even if you went into witness relocation type thing, you're never going to hide. So you might as well just stay open. And where he's saying other people, there's other famous cases, which I'm not really aware of, or I don't know that well. I know of a couple, but I'm not that familiar with it. They've gone into hiding, they've gone into some witness relocation, but then they sort of come out and do interviews afterwards, going, what are you doing? But he's saying, no. So, well, let's hope nothing happens to him, of course, but yeah, interesting story here. Let's say, I'm just kind of sugarcoating here, but say go through this this whole thing. This is from the dailystar.co.uk. Again, in terms of some of the terminology they use, it's sort of standard, a bit tabloidy. I would say it's a bit tabloidy, but there we go. Okay, right. Let's just quickly run into the next story, as I say, because you haven't got any questions. There we go. Saddlebag, 57 and joining a motorcycle gang. He's got more energy than I. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. He's 57-year-old now. He's 57 years old now. I don't know when he was in there. So, let's say he was a little bit younger. I don't know how much. But yeah, even so, right, there we go. So, sorry, have you seen the brand new 2024 Harley Davidson Road Glide Orange CVO bike? What I saw in the Google images. Yes, that was featured on I talked about that on the last live show and also in previous live shows as well. Yes, I have. If they say clubs are organised, try to get everyone together for 9 a.m. Right. That is so true. That is so true. It's like herding cats, isn't it? You know, wild cats. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, but there we go. Listen. So listen, I was going to go into another story, but I thought, you know what, let's just leave it there. I've been going on for an hour. I really wanted to sort of go into what's been happening this last weekend. And I suppose for me, the biggest thing is that the weather here in the UK, and also, as I understand it, in lots of places in the US, in Canada, Northern Europe, and in Scandinavia, and places like that, you know, we've had a very slow entry to spring. And we thought here in the UK, we thought we had a couple of days here where we thought, oh, the temperatures are getting up, it's really nice. And then all of a sudden it gets really cold again, and it gets really miserable and rainy as well. So not the greatest advert or not the greatest enticement for getting out on your bike. However, it's good to see that motorcycle events are still trying to charge ahead, and quite a few have happened this last weekend in aid of charity, which is always a good thing for me. And I'm really pleased that these kind of events are taking place. As I say, I went into a news agency earlier on and picked up a motorcycle magazine, and they got a whole list of events coming on this week. For the next few months, all listed there. So it was really good to see lots of events there. By the way, if you want to get a shout out for your event, let me know. And I will. The next time I do a live show, I'll have a list of motorcycle events for you as well. But there we go. Listen, hey, all I can say is, I mean, that's it for the news. There are lots of news stories out there, but I thought these are the interesting ones that just tweaked my attention as well. Get rid of that. There we go. But say it's been a long weekend. I think it's been a long weekend. This is my first day off, so it's I've got a bit of work to do on the Breakit Band camper tomorrow. Get out and about on that, and I've got a bit of work to do in the workshop on the bike. I've got a couple of parts come through the other day, so I'll crack on with that. I've got a bit of riding to do. I've got to go and do a little bit of covert undercover filming on the bike, as it were, and let me see how that goes. But I'm not sure when I'll do another live show. It might be later this week. It might be like a Wednesday, Friday and a Saturday. Or I might try and do on a Wednesday. We'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. But as I say, I think I'm just going to stick with YouTube streaming for now. I think if I'm going to go onto Twitch, I may just do the sports stuff on the Twitch. And see how that goes as well. But I'm not really doing a lot of the sports stuff right now. It's always going to be my main channel here. I'm really trying to sort out a lot of the background issues that I'm having with the website. But there are blog posts going up there, information news stories going up there as well. And most of the stories that I feature on these live shows, all the relevant news stories that I feature on the live shows, I sort of pick out the ones that I like, and I put those on the blog posts as well. So the live shows is where you're going to get the news, all the news stuff, all the latest stuff, all the interesting stories, and then the blog post will have different stories or stories that come direct from my news press releases that come in. Right. So before I go, I did want to a couple of videos I released this week talked about. I'm not promoting Harley Davidson products or anything like that, just in case people thought it was just a product I bought this week. And I thought, oh, is it any good? Well, I don't really know that much. My bike, it needed a bit of a clean, deep cleaned it, and the engine has been looking really tired for me. It sort of faded a little bit. So I knew this engine brightener, for example, but lots of people use it. I know there are alternative products. The problem is, I can't get all the alternative products because they're just not available in the UK, let's say. Some are, some aren't. Some I wasn't even aware of. So thanks very much to those guys out there who've said, oh no, use this product, it's much better, or use this. I always love that. I always love that because, you know, if I don't know about it, it's great to put stuff out there, put content out there. But the actual product itself worked great. I just think it's I can't remember how many. It's about this same sort of size, maybe a bit smaller than this, right? Nearly £22 for that bottle. It was crazy. I bought a can of Silclean Pro Prep, and the links are in the video description. But that came in at about, was it £16 or £18, something like that for that can. You know, so but one of the questions I was asking, what was it? What was it? Right? What is actually in the bottle, right? So quite a few people actually replied, but I'm gonna try and show you exactly what it is now, because here we go. Right, boom, look at that. By the powers of Grayskull, look at this. Right, so this is and this is from Michael. There we go, Michael, who's in the chat. Thanks very much, Michael. And he sent this to me, which I'm really, really pleased about. This is the data sheet. I didn't have this access, and in all fairness, you know, I didn't have a really good look at the bottle, but hey, you know, it's there. But anyways, this is all where it is. But right at the bottom here, right at the bottom, it goes into all the, okay, so the ingredients here: petroleum gases, liquefied sweetened heptane, branched, I don't know what that is, cyclic and linear siloxanes, and silicones and DME, or whatever that is. So lots of people saying, oh yeah, it's this and this. I still have no idea what it is, to be honest with you. And there's lots of other stuff as well. Oh, firefighting measures. It's really good. It's a really good bit of safety data sheet. So thanks very much for that. But again, it's, you know, lots of silicone base as well. But I'm just wondering, is there kind of, it's a petroleum gas, liquefied, sweetened heptane. Branch cyclic linear siloxanes. Is the siloxane, is that kind of mildly acidic? Is that what it is? I don't know. And silicones and DME. I don't know what the hell that is. But there we go. I like the Pepsi Max version. Yes. Did you warm up the engine smell after the spruce up? Did you warm up the engine smell after? It was very nice. It was a very nice one. But yeah. But yeah, there we go. So I'm just trying to read some of the. But anyway, so this is the thing. Now, as I say, one of the reasons I got the product. It sparked my attention because I wanted to freshen up the engine. I wasn't sure which product to use. I knew this product from Harley Davidson was there, but when I went to get the bottle, and I was speaking to the guy behind the desk, I said, "Well, what's the active ingredient? What is it? What is it?" Right? Because I know I can, you know, clean my engine and just spray. Somebody even mentioned, I think it was Saddlebag, I can't remember. Somebody mentioned in one of the comments, say, yeah, I use WD-40. I said, well, actually, yeah, I could easily use that. I know it's going to wash off in time and it isn't going to be great, but it's going to have that, you know, you smell WD-40, you know it's a distinctive smell. But I thought, hey, let me see what this is. There was nothing on it. I didn't know what it was. I knew it was a brightener, but I didn't know what was going to make it brighten, or certainly how long it was going to last. So I know you're going to have to put this on a couple of times a year. I know the other product had a whole different series of ingredients. So I thought, well, which is better? Which is better? So it wasn't really a reviewing of the product per se. It was more just saying, well, I'll see on my bike, see how it works. Yeah, it works. I mean, I expected it to work. It wasn't going to be a terrible thing, because I know lots of people have said, yeah, it works. It works really well. The question is Is it worth £20 to £21.87 or £21.97? Is there a cheaper alternative? Well, I think we can safely say there are definitely cheaper alternatives. And, there we go. Michael Cossack, sweetened for a nice smell. There we go. Yeah, it could be. It's sweetened. Sweetened heptane. Yeah, I as I say, so I'm sure there are lots of. I was again. One of the there we go. One of the things that I'm always interested with any product, is does it work? Of course. What's the value? Is there any good value? Is it good value for money? I should say that's the word I think, because everything has value. But is it good value for money? But more than anything, is there an alternative? And is the alternative as good? Is it better? And is it better or as good? And is it cheaper? So that's what I'm always looking at to see, okay, first of all, is the product any good? And most of these products, you can say, yeah, they're good, they work, right? But is there an alternative out there, and is it good? Now, somebody was asking me, I think it could have been Michael as well, or no, somebody else was saying, about engine oils and engine additives and things like that. So that's a whole different discussion. But suffice to say, I've always thought about engine oils. I don't necessarily... I'm not so concerned about the brand of the oil. Let me put it that way. I'm not so concerned about it. The weight of the oil, even the weight of the oil, you can change the weight of the oil according to, summer, winter riding. You can work with that a little bit. There's no problem. But I think what helps is, and I've always said this, it's regular engine oil changes. At least do it once a year, every few thousand miles, especially on a motorcycle, yeah? And how you're riding the bike and all these kinds of things. How you're working the engine will put that oil under so much more stress and actually make it degrade quicker, let's say. So therefore, changing that oil and oil filter is going to be the best thing. So I've never been that concerned about oils, oil additives and things like that. I think the biggest thing you can do is just change your oil on a regular basis. And even if you don't change your oil on a regular basis, actually, for the most part, the engine would tend to fail, not necessarily because you haven't changed your oil on a regular basis. It's more to do with other components that are failing, or the way you've been riding it, or other things like that. But there's no doubt, if you abuse the bike, in other words, any engine, if you never give it a service, then the chances are you're going to make that engine overheat. It's going to be running hotter. It's not the cooling properties. The major cooling of an engine comes from the oil, right? So if that is not working effectively, that's what's going to degrade the engine over time. So the best thing to do is just regularly change that oil. Somebody was asking me a while ago, so what about just mixing oils? Well, actually, fundamentally, every time you do an oil change, you do mix oils, because you're not splitting the whole engine apart, wiping every surface off of clean oil, are you? You're basically just, what you're doing, there's always going to be residual oil in there. So what you need to do is, if you really want to be anal about it, you need to drop all the oil, put new oil in, run it a little bit, literally, a few minutes or an hour, not even that. Just get the engine oil circulating, get it nice and warm again, drop the oil again, do another change, drop the oil again, and then you've got absolutely fresh oil in that engine. But obviously, you're going to go through a lot of oil doing that. So most of the time, the amount of residual oil in there is insignificant. So, but if you keep on changing the oil, then, on a regular basis, let's say every year, whatever it is, then you'll have no issues. You shouldn't have no issues at all. I don't think and somebody was saying, yeah, just the cheapest oil is fine. As long as it works in your bike or your engine, even for short periods, having the wrong quality oil in your engine is not going to do long-term damage. It's how you're running that engine. So let's just say, for example, you're on a road trip, right? You're on a road trip and you're losing a bit of oil, right? For whatever reason, you're losing oil. And you have to have a, I don't know, a 2050 grade oil, right? And all of a sudden you go into a rest stop, a garage, services, and you look at your engine, you think, "Crikey, I need some oil here, it's running low." All they're selling is 1040. Well, guess what? Put the 1040 in your engine. You know, it's not going to hurt it. You know, and then, you know, continue your ride. Continue your ride, because if you've got an oil leak, what's the worst scenario? The worst scenario is that you're going to run out of oil. So just keep it topped up with oil, right? Then when you get to wherever it is, dump all that oil, yeah, and then address the oil leak, right? Address what if you got an oil leak for, then you know, start again. But anyway, they get Beats of the Biker. I towed a car one time. Car had 60,000 miles on it. Engine was locked up. Asked the lady when the last time she had an oil change. She said new oil when I bought it. Well, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That says it all. That says it all. You've got to use the engine as well. You know, that helps. Anyway, listen, guys. All I can say, it's been emotional. Thanks for watching. I say, if you're interested in sort of tech discussion live shows, just fire in some questions. And we'll sort of have a discussion about it. If you want to know about Harley Davidson type stuff or Softail stuff, I've been digging into the manuals again the last couple of days just for my own interest, and there's quite a few discussion topics, I think, there. I could make videos about it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether I'll make videos about that kind of stuff anymore. But we'll see. But anyway, so let's see what happens there. But say, if you want a more tech-based or motorcycle-specific technical question type stuff, as a discussion topic on a live show, hey, let us know. Let us know your thoughts. Come in, join the chat, and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, guys, it's been emotional. All I can say is thanks for watching. Catch you on the next live show, hopefully in the next couple of days. I'm going to be trying filming some videos in the next couple of days as well, and see what happens there. But all I can say, it's been emotional, and I love you all. Cheers now.